This an all-out blitz. Real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but our D gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's, our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Hello, once again to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast, brought to you by the Texas or the Fan Battle Sports Network. I'm your host today, Matthew Briggs. But before we get into it, let me kick it off to my amazing trio. First off, I got my little but big brother in the house, Mr. VT.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hopefully you guys have a beer.
Can you not hear me, Crenshaw? Crenshaw, can you hear me? And okay, obviously Crenshaw can't hear us, so
he'll come back on in a moment.
He'll come back on. Before we move on, wait for Crenshaw. We already got the Colts fans chiming in. Thanks again from the Horseshoe Mob for coming on yesterday. It was great. So
it was actually a really good show.
It was. Crenshaw, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
All right. And let me introduce you to my friend, my A1 since day one, Mr. Crenshaw. What's up, buddy?
What it do?
Before we move on, Crenshaw, show the merchandise, brother. It looks, man.
Look at that. That looks hot.
Yes, indeed. So, guys, if you want this, reach out to us. We can hook you up. And we also got a super chat. If you want to see something on the screen that is a must, don't be afraid to hit it. We'll comment live and give you a shout out. And also, thanks for reaching out to us, especially at the game. Real quick, Crenshaw, tell us what happened today.
Yeah, man, I was in the store and I was buying this jacket right here. Let me show it while it's in my hand. Hold on, let me pull it out. Can y'all see it?
Yep. Oh, that is hot.
Yeah, I was buying this jacket with my wife, and then had a gentleman walked up to me. If you're watching, please tell your name. Hispanic character. I ain't meant to say character, but Hispanic guy. And he said, "Hey man, I listened to your show. Hey, what's up?" He gave me some dab. I was like, "Man, I appreciate that," but I didn't catch his name. So if you're watching, please put your name in the comments so we could give you a shout out and appreciate you listening to us.
Yes. I mean, somebody's actually listening, so we appreciate you, fellas. All right. Well, guys, 31. I just hate it. To 20. It was a beatdown. But it was something to be optimistic about, but not much, but a little bit. VT, you already got a lot of haters in the comments from the Colts side. So I want you tell us what happened today. What's your recap?
I mean, listen, there's frustrated Texans fans, then there's fans that kind of are, clued in on seeing what was going on, what happened. And some people just don't really. This is one of the first times that they're watching the game because it's the first home game. And so they really don't know what's going on. So I'll give you the wrap up. There was one starter on that O-line, and that was Shaq Mason. There was no other starter on that O-line. The left tackle was a fourth stringer. The center was a third stringer. The left guard was a third stringer. The right tackle was a third stringer. There was not even a second stringer that I could say that was on. The issue with that O-line, it was literally third and fourth stringers aside from the right guard, which was Shaq Mason. Other than that, that's the reason why the O-line looked as shit as it was. I predicted 5 sacks. because of that O-line. Yeah, they actually ended up getting 6, so it's pretty damn close. There really isn't a lot that you can expect. However, what I thought is because the O-line was so bad, I predicted CJ Stroud would have under 200 yards. I thought that he would only have one passing TD. And I thought that his performance was going to be pretty low. I wasn't even thinking that he was going to get I was thinking like a 55% completion rate. But this dude, he's him, bro. 64% completion rate, 384 yards, 2 touchdowns. Why is this important? Well, here's the thing, is that he actually 384 yards for a rookie and 2 touchdowns, and he hasn't thrown a single interception yet. So this is the thing to remember, right? He threw 47 times, more than he threw week 1, and still hasn't thrown an interception. He also changed from week 1 to week 2. So one of the things that he did is that last week he was throwing a lot more short routes, so he was throwing about 5.5 yards per throw. Now he actually made that 8.2. So if you recall last year, Tua had the highest average, and it was right around 9 yards. He's already at 8.2. So like this guy is also surpassing Justin Herbert. So basically, he now surpassed Justin Herbert for the second most pass completions in the first 2 career games, 58 completions. Since Deshaun Watson, we can finally say that the passing attack from the Houston Texans is straight. This is not an issue. We don't have to worry about is this guy the right guy? Did we draft the right quarterback? We did. The issue is injuries, the run game, the play calling, and what the fuck is up with that defense? Like, we have 4 issues, and none of them are CJ Stroud.
Well, I can go to the wrestling game. Well, it's kind of hard to play the wrestling game when you are behind so quickly. I mean, you're up 14-0 with the first 8 minutes of the game. Like, it's hard to establish the run. And like you said, we only have one starter in Shaq Mason, and Shaq Mason is not even he's garbage. Like, he's not Shaq Mason of the past. No. You can't say it's because the center is making him lag, because the center is playing pretty well as a backup. So that he's not getting the gaps that he needs. He's getting hit in the backfield a lot from the offensive tackle side. Josh Jones, I thought he was going to be a decent pickup. He is absolutely trash. I am not. I'm not excited about it, and you could tell that's what happened with the offensive line. Real quick, we got somebody that wants to say hi to us.
How do you do? How's everybody doing this evening?
Pretty good. I mean, we've got our quarterback. We know that we have our guy, and we know that this guy is the right guy for
VT,
our organization.
VT, what you doing? VT, what you doing? What's all that? You don't even need to do all that. You don't need to do all that, VT. You don't need to do all that.
Ask me how I'm doing, bro.
No. I said, I asked you how you doing. Are you good? Are you great? Are you feeling fantastic? Are you?
I'm happy, and I'm telling you why I'm happy. I'm happy because we found our quarterback.
That's absolutely. I agree, and that's the craziest part. I'm not coming in here with all the heat. I went into a space early with a bunch of Texans fans, and they just were like literally fighting each other for about 15 minutes. I think they might still be in there doing it now, but
sure.
No, but it's you know what, I will absolutely say you can see where the issues were in terms of, protection and everything. But listen, CJ Stroud was out there. He was balling, and I'll give it to him. Like, I mean, the guy got sacked 6 times. We said that pass rush was going to be there and they were going to be in his face all game, which they were. And I mean, to be able to still go in there and still be able to complete, I believe it was 30 or 47.
63
47, 64%.
Yeah, and it's like he was under pressure all game, and he was somebody who didn't get rattled. I absolutely do believe that he actually y'all found the guy. Like y'all found the guy. Now it's just going to be bringing it all together. because the other thing that we talked about was the fact I think that you were talked about Bobby Slowick, and he definitely there were some times where it's just like he just didn't have him in the right spot based on what you saw. Like you knew that he was getting pressured, and it looked like he was trying to put together plays that would generally take a lot of time to develop. Like I thought that he might just keep it short, just try to. Maybe
it was a lot better
but
than last week, right? Like I know the plays you're talking about, but it was only like 2 or 3 plays that it was questionable to instead of 9 or 10 plays that were questionable. Like it's slowly fixing it. But this whole thing, I know who it is. It's Josh Senior saying it was garbage time stats. He's just being a hater because you're doing what you're supposed to be behind, and that is fight back.
Pass.
Right. Pass the ball, fight back. If things go right our way in the fourth quarter, it's not 21. It's not 31 to 24. It's a different. We score. It's a different ball game. Y'all going to start worrying about the actual comeback. The Minnesota Vikings relapse. So it's not garbage time. It's actually they're actually trying to again rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator. You have to do what you got to from behind. That's what you do.
I'll tell you why it wasn't garbage time, because Shane Steichen particularly had us go out there to waste a timeout because he was worried that if we wasted a timeout, he wanted us to waste a timeout because he was worried that we could actually score. So that's how you know it's not garbage time when the opposing coach does something to make you waste a timeout on.
And I gotta say that was a hell of a move by Shane Steichen.
It was a genius move. It was a genius.
Well, the thing is, I don't think, and the thing is, it's just like like I said, I don't think I will quantify it as garbage time. I just think it's just it's very easy to pick on VT because he's a very emotionally driven troll. So it's just like we know this, like we understand that, but it was. I think in that case, even with it being because I think at that time you had maybe about 7 minutes left. I think you had about 7 minutes to work with. 7 minutes to work with, and not having all your timeouts when you're 2 scores down.
Oh, we have at least one timeout. We wasted that one, and we still have
no. Yeah, you wasted one, and then you had 2 left. But generally, if you have 3 timeouts and you're down 2 scores, like mathematically, it's just like that can work for you if you're able to just really just move the ball downfield. But then you're accounting for if you go no huddle and they keep you inbounds. How long is it going to take you to get to the spot of the ball? How quickly are you going to be able to figure out the play? So, to kind of take that away, it's just like, I don't think it was a great move, but I think it was one of those moves that's meant to be small, but it also ended up being a big move because then you don't have the time that you wanted to have.
All right. So let me just talk about the offense real quick before we get to the defense. So the one thing that we saw is that Nico Collins definitely showed up, right? So the one thing I wanted to show up here is look at the amount of yards after catch, because we were talking about that Tank Dell was really the only yards after catch guy. And you can actually look and see which routes he took and how much yards after catch he got. 146 yards. I mean, that's fucking amazing. I said this, like, I'm going to have to readjust my shirts because he's definitely earned that spot. Back up to the Petrie level right there. So Nico Collins, damn. I mean, the dude, obviously he got the touchdown too, but the 146 yards, he's making himself available. He's getting himself NFL open. Is he getting 2 or 3 steps of separation all the time? No, but when you have a quarterback like CJ Stroud, the whole cool thing about having someone like CJ Stroud is that he can put it on him. He doesn't need to have 2-3 feet of separation, right? The difference between someone like a Davis Mills and CJ Stroud is with Davis Mills, you have no idea if it's going to go 6 feet above your head or 6 feet in the ground. With CJ Stroud, it is going to be on you. It's hitting your hands. And you can see when Nico Collins now has someone that can actually get him the ball plenty of times. He's getting 146 yards a game. This game, that's insane. He has 226 yards between last game and this game. That's averaging over 100 yards already. So,
obviously, the whole debacle of, oh, he just played with good receivers. That's the only reason why he had a high completed rate in college has to be put to rest, right? Like
Right.
that was the biggest concern coming out of the offseason was the receiver room. Like it was nobody knew what it could be, but now with CJ, I think we can put that to rest. He can place the ball where he wants to, and he it showed on a couple plays.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say this and I'll just pop up out of here. But Stroud definitely showed that he can make just about all of the throws. And he was actually able to just fit the ball in the spots. I think the biggest thing with Nico Collins is the fact that it's just like and we talked about this yesterday, he's a 6'4" receiver who actually does have a decent amount of speed. So, I mean, if you can get somebody who can hit him in stride, with that 6'4" frame, especially with the fact that he's not a skinny 6'4", like he's almost like tight end size, but just has like wide receiver speed. You hit him in stride, he gets the ball, and there were a couple times where it's just like it was just the yards after the catch were on because it was really hard to catch when he had that full head of momentum.
Right.
So I mean, the fact that CJ Stroud can finally go ahead and do something with him now, I think honestly it's just like he could end up being a major contributor to that offense. I think he kind of found his guy, but like I said, hats off to CJ Stroud for standing there strong because Mans was taking a beating all day.
All right. Well, Chris, man, thanks for jumping on and harassing us a little bit. We appreciate you coming on last Saturday, guys. Make sure if you want to see the Colts side of view about this game, tune in to the Horseshoe Mob on Tuesday nights. What time, Chris?
9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 Central, and whatever Mountain and Pacific time goes to, I don't know, whatever. But
Right.
yeah. But hey, fellas, Briggs, Crenshaw, be cool, VT. Bring your blood pressure down, okay? I know you're still running a little bit hot. I need you to relax, okay? It's just like it's really hard to have you run if you're gonna have a coronary. All right? Appreciate y'all. Hey, make sure y'all follow Brown Chubby Bear because you gotta remember that VT's also a furry.
All
I'm
right,
proud of it.
All right. All right. Well, before we move to the defensive side of the ball, Crenshaw, you were there live, popping. What's your take of this offense?
Well, my take of the offense, did you guys have this on your bingo card that Nico Collins will have more receiving yards than we have rushing yards as a motherfucking team?
No.
That's the most interesting stat to me right there. So far so good. Nico, he's that slant route is working for him, and he's getting those yak yards. So I'm proud of him on that. Just gotta stay healthy. Like you guys say, Shaq Mason, the only starter. But think about it, he wasn't here last year, so we have 0 starters on the offensive line. So that's a major concern. I like that. The quarterback. I mean, he's getting his ass whooped. He's getting his ass beat the fuck up, but.
10 sacks in 2 games. I mean, that's
a lot. That's a lot. But he's not making the same mistake twice, as far as going down the field. That's what I'm looking at. But they didn't figure out this run game. Okay, is Devin Singletary running back 2 or Darius running back 2? Because I'm seeing, Singletary's on the sideline a lot more longer this game than he was the first game. So I'm trying to figure out what they're doing right there. And Bobby, I think he need to come on with his plays a little more quicker. He might need to go to the Gary Kubiak route and just have 15 scripted plays right off the back, so CJ could get it going. Because I think he was listening, like, hey, what's the play? What's the play?
right.
And it was slowing the offense down, and it was getting the Colts time to set their defense. Boom, get in the backfield. So I think they need to get some scripted plays, put the motherfuckers on his arm or something, and get that shit rolling. Now, I kind of do agree with the guy. Those stats in the end were kind of empty stats, but what I would say, he didn't make a mistake doing those empty stats, because a lot of times you make mistakes because you be forcing stuff down the field. That's how you get the interception. So he still had a good quarterback rating and everything. So overall, like I said, I'm happy with him, but we got to get this offense going. I can't wait until the fucking offensive line is back, man. I just can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I agree I agree to an extent. Like, yeah, it was becoming empty stats. It was becoming garbage stats. But just like the Vikings game of last year against the Colts, they turned into a game. Like if the Texans scored that fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go, it's a game. Like anything can go. Is this we couldn't convert on fourth down, couldn't score a touchdown.
That is true because that when
Right.
Tank scored that first touchdown, got called back, we only got 3 points, correct? On that drive.
No, we got none. We went four. We went four
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Turnover
went
on downs. Turnover on
right,
downs. So
right,
yeah, see, yeah, we left 4 extra points on the board. I think twice in the red zone. That's something that we got to figure out and everything. But
right. And before we kick it off to the defense side, the only thing I would like to say about CJ Stroud is him. CJ Stroud is the right pick at 2. He is in my opinion, he is the second best quarterback coming out of this draft behind Anthony Richardson so far, as of now. The only thing I would like you to fix, CJ Stroud, is protect the damn ball. When you're about to get hit, you got to protect the ball. 2 fumbles, 2 games, both of them lost. That's a big momentum shift right there. If he doesn't turn over the ball, it's not 14-0 with the first 8 minutes. So you got to protect the ball. Other than that, dude, there's nothing but positive because, like we've been saying, the offensive line comes back. He's not running for his life, and hopefully we get to run game with the offensive line. We're not playing from behind. So
Well, I mean, all right, I know that I said I want to talk about defense, but I want to address that part. I mean, I think a lot of us had worries about how bad would he be, right? Not even just with this O line, but even if with our starting line, because in college he had a 30% drop in completion, went from 70% to 40% under pressure, and that is not the case. What we're seeing here is we're seeing development week over week. We're seeing him change. Like he went from the short game from 5.5 average to 8.2. Every week we've seen him from the preseason. Now he's getting better and better. And I'm sure that ball security is going to be something that D'Amico makes sure that he understands how important that is. You know that D'Amico is going to make that his biggest lesson, right? So I'm sure that is going to be something that they focus on. I'll tell you this. I was watching the game. And when I believe it was Josh Jones that had a penalty, he made a great play, pressure play, rolled out to the left, landed it. It was to Nico Collins, I believe, where he made it to the 2nd-yard line or something, and then it got pulled back because of a penalty, right? And it was like the 2nd-yard line, and so obviously that should be the go-ahead touchdown right there, where you run it in or whatever. Pulled back because of a penalty, And I'm thinking like old terms, Davis Mills. Oh, it's penalty. That means like we're not converting right now because penalty. We're getting pushed back. We were right there, and that didn't faze him. He threw and he converted on third and a mile long. He converted. So like the thing is, I think that with CJ Stroud, one of the greatest things is you have the ability of thinking we're not done yet. Right, like with Davis Mills or something, you know that if you had a penalty or if you're down by 2 touchdowns, it's over. With CJ Stroud, I think you have the belief like it's not over till it's over, and I think that's one of the greatest things of having a quarterback is that when people say you want to put it on the quarterback's back, this is what you're saying, like not thinking that the game is over because your quarterback can actually get you to the finish line, and I understand that we are 0-2. But if you look at CJ's individual performance, we should have won today. The defense made us lose, not the offense. Right? Yeah. You can say the run game was shit because we had 50 rushing yards, but the passing attack worked. The offense did its job. The defense shit the bed.
Yeah, and let me, because that's what I've been seeing all social media. Defense is back to being shit. Defense sucks. Defense is this. Look. Jalen, this is what makes me scared of having Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward out, and then also losing Eric Murray. Once we're on our 4th-string safety on a safety-dependent defense. You can't man. You can't throw a lot of blitzes out there because they'll burn the safeties. So what you got to do? You got to go to zone. You got to go to zone, and that's where. Gardner Minshew is his best at the short game. 5 yards here, 8 yards there, 10 yards there, 5 yards here. That's where he's going to pick up. So
Right.
yes, it was terrible, but I'm not trying to sound like a Titans fan, but it's hard when you have three of your starting safeties out and you're depending on a four string safety on a man coverage defense. Like it's just hard. And
I mean, I think people have to also understand how important Jalen Petrie is to the run defense. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet because it's not a sack, right? Like when people look at stats, you're looking at sacks typically. You don't then even look at tackles for loss. And when you look at a tackle, like, well, what the hell does that mean? A tackle. Okay, what more does it say? Um, Basically, the whole thing about what Jalen Petrie does in the run is that even if it's not a tackle for loss, he stops that from getting major yardage. Something that like Zach Moss, like he actually had a decent amount of runs, right? And some that got past 5 yards, he'll stop the dude at 5 yards. Jalen Petrie is a missile. He looks at who is bringing who's the ball carrier and just is after him. If you remember the Cowboys game, the Cowboys said, "Holy shit." The Cowboys fans talk more about Jalen Petrie than Texans fans did because they saw that every single time they tried to run the ball, Jalen Petrie was there. Goal line stand, Jalen Petrie was there, stopped them from scoring on a goal line stand. Missing Jalen Petrie is an issue in the run defense.
Not just Jalen Petrie, Eric Murray too. Like,
yeah, he's actually was doing pretty good in the run defense too.
Stewart Jr. is a liability when it comes to the run game. Pass game, not so much, but to the run game, yes. Stewart Jr. does not know where to line up.
Right.
He gets blown up way too much on the run. Like you said, he's not a missile like Petrie and Murray are. So that's what hurt us, and especially when he has to play spy. I think that's what hurt us with Anthony Richardson runs. Both those runs should have been stopped by Michael Stewart, but instead
he didn't get touched. Yeah.
Well, the second one he did, and it ended up knocking him out of the game with the concussion.
No,
it was too late.
But that was
too late because he was in the end zone.
Yeah.
Right, because he was out of place and is a liability to the run game.
I mean, I think that MJ Stewart, he had one good game when not one with us, but when he was with the Browns, and then he actually shadowed Devontae Adams, and he did really good for that one game. But he's never played on special teams. Really with us, this is his first real showing, and I think you found out why he's a fourth string backup. The dude cannot play on defense. He's a special teamer, and that's what he is. So injuries has killed us. Now the question is, do you blame D'Amico on his play calling or his scheming here, or do you think that the injuries are just so bad that what the fuck was he supposed to do? Like, what's your take on that?
Crenshaw, I'll let you start it off.
All right. I think you can blame D'Amico. Let me tell you the reason why. Because if it was Matt Burke calling the plays, we would have definitely blamed him.
Okay.
So we can't cherry pick on who we can't blame. I get we having injuries, but San Francisco, I get different team, different players, had a lot of injuries, and defense still was a top defense. So we got to figure out a way to make it work. Like outside of that first hit that Will Anderson did on Anthony Richardson, where was he in the rest of that game?
Well, there was
invisible.
Well, there was a couple plays where of course they got called, but he got held a lot.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Right, I get that, but again, not saying Steichen, right? I mean, Shane Steichen did an amazing job at game planning against us.
Yeah, he did. He did. We got 0 sacks. It's like they had all fucking day. Like Gardner Minshew came in and hell, actually. I think if Anthony Richardson was in the game, we would have either won or been a little more closer. Gardner Minshew actually made them look better, and he was out there just dicking us. I'm not dicking us.
Pause.
Pause. He's like just down the field, man. So, but yeah. So we can't blame coach. Now I'm not saying fire him like some of those people I saw on my timeline was saying today, but. He's got to get better, and it'll get better over time. It's just week 2. Use the first month. That's when teams find their identity. So we got to find ours. Well, we kind of know ours, but we got to get better at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey,
so,
I was going to answer your question too. It's kind of a mixture of both, right? It's injuries and it's scheming. Like Crenshaw, you're right. The Niners had injuries last year too, but they never lost Jimmy Ward. They never lost the Hawaiian safety. They never lost to various Ward, the corners. So when you run a man defense and you lose 3 of your safeties, you're going to have to game plan to something you're not really used to, and especially zone. I mean, we seen zone last year. It was horrific. We hated it. Every single person hated it. That's why Stingley was decent, but it didn't look like Stingley last week because he had to run zone instead of man. And that's what hurt us. And I think that's why Will Anderson disappeared, because Shane Steichen's like, okay, they're playing zone. This is what we're going to do. And just beat us 5 yards out. And that's how you beat zone. So that's why the defense looked as bad as it did. BT had a comment, where did Perryman go? Perryman still had 5 tackles. He had a lot of stops, but he had a lot to do in zone. In zone defense, the middle linebacker has a lot more than just to play the rush and spy. So that's what happened to him. But hopefully next year or next week it's a different story. But go ahead, BT.
I'll say this again. We are complaining that MJ Stewart isn't that dude, and I don't think he is. But again, we had a DB lead the game in tackles again, right? MJ Stewart led the game in tackles. The front 7 didn't do their job. I think that Steichen, honestly, is just. I think. Listen, Tiff said it here, and I think he's right. D'Amico got outcoached by Steichen. I think that's fair to say. Like, I do think that D'Amico is a great defensive coach, but Steichen, I think, is just. I think he's an offensive genius himself. And if you looked at it, he didn't skip a beat. He was game planning for a athletic linebacker / running back at quarterback that could also throw. And then he went to Gardner Minshew, and they didn't fucking lose a beat. He went from being efficient to being efficient. And I think that Steichen is just a really freaking good coach. I think that obviously the injuries hurt D'Amico. We didn't have the personnel necessarily to do what he wanted, so you can't put all the blame on him. And then this is what someone asked, right? Am I going to rant about what I was saying? This is what James Thomas was saying. Am I going to rant about the strength and conditioning program? And this is the question I got to ask. When you have more starters that are unhealthy than you have healthy, is a time to say, what the fuck are we doing? Because there's a couple ways that you could actually change this. Now, I understand a lot of people are saying it's injuries. You can't control the injuries. Injuries are injuries. It's just stroke of the luck. Sometimes you're healthy, sometimes you're not. Well, there's a reason why strength and conditioning is why they spend millions of dollars on it. It's because it's not just luck. It's that you can actually control these things. I mentioned this on an earlier podcast, but if D'Amico's going to play these guys as hard as he's going to in OTAs, we had 6 personnel injuries, 6 people get hurt in OTAs. You have to start creating bonus structures where these dudes are coming to the building and working out and getting paid for that in the offseason. That is something that Caserio has to build into these contracts. He's extending dudes like Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason. And he extended Shaq Mason sight unseen. He didn't even do anything. He said, I'll sign you and then I'll extend you for 3 years. I don't even have to look and see how you perform. And he's performing like shit right now. But we've got him now. We gave him guaranteed money for 3 years. So, the thing is, if you're going to write those contracts, then you're going to have to write something when you know that your head coach drives these guys hard. Pause. Like, if he's going to push these guys to the helm, then you got to make sure that these guys are year-round in that building, staying conditioned. They're not just sitting on their couch and eating McDonald's, that they're actually in the building, and pay them for that. And that is something that Nick Caserio can control. Do I know what else is going on there? No, I don't. No one knows what's going on there. Yeah. But there's no way that you can say this is normal.
I think the field has to do something with it too. The Texans has been in a lot of lawsuits due to the field. Wes Welker sued the Texans because of the field. D'Amico Ryan sued the Texans because of the field. The Texans field is when I looked at it, I think it was the fourth highest place to get injured at. That's throughout the whole NFL. So I mean, it could be not just the Texans. I just think it's the turf that they use. Once you go from that kind of turf to real grass, it's hard on their bodies.
But the thing is, all right, in 2012, before like this is right when D'Amico sued us, right, for $10 million, and they changed the turf that same year that he sued us because at that time they actually had some pseudo. It was like a mixture of real grass and turf, and then they switched it to full turf. And so I listen, turf could be a part of the injuries, but you got to look at the rest of the NFL. The rest of the NFL does not have 11 dudes on IR.
Yeah. I mean, but the rest of the NFL has a lot of injuries. But you're right; ours are more serious and more long. The longevity of the injury, right? Like it lingers a lot more. And that's why I think
got a
that's why.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, now when we practicing, is that grass or turf?
That's grass.
Okay, and is having these injuries happen at practice?
Um,
Yeah, you had 6 of them in OTAs.
So you can't blame the field because it's
No.
happening at practice with the grass.
But I'm just saying, going from grass to turf is not helping them during the
Because
season.
most of the players prefer grass. I guess they don't want to use grass because it costs so much to keep up with it and maintain it, but they make so much fucking money, especially how much shit costs at the stadium. So just give the guys grass, you know. I mean, certain owners does it, but I think all the owners should do grass around the league. I don't know why, but you know.
Well, it's just I'm just saying. Study has shown that the turf is more hard on their bodies than regular grass, and that does have something to do. Am I saying is that the main reason? Absolutely not. I'm with BT. I don't think these guys are coming football ready in the offseason. And it be to the strength and conditioning coach. Maybe they're not doing their jobs correctly. Maybe they're not working out the right area. Something has to change. But yeah, this reminds me of the 2017 season where we had like 11 people on IR, where it just depleted the whole season. And both years we had rookie quarterbacks.
Well, we can't be like that because right now, as of today, the Arizona Cardinals are the real winners today, not the Indianapolis Colts. It's the Arizona Cardinals. They are loving this. Keep
Yeah,
losing.
they're about to have a first and second round pick in the NFL draft this year.
Yeah, so we got to get together, man. We got to win some games, man. We got to win some games.
I mean, all right. I don't want to end the show on a bad note, so I would just want to I'm going to talk about some good shit for a moment. This is the shit that I wanted to talk about. Remember, I always talk about how important third down conversions are because, especially in playoff games, you don't win unless you can convert on third downs. We were 9 for 19. We were 47%, man. That is high as hell. Usually you're around 40%. The fact that we're on 47%, this is why I'm saying it's not just the yards, it's not just the touchdowns. It's the fact that CJ is able to connect under third down is obviously the most pressure you're seeing. And when you can convert on third down consistently, 47% of the time is damn consistent. That is amazing. People are not understanding how well he's playing because the rest of the team is so shitty right now, at least for this game. Right? He actually excelled way higher than I thought he was going to be able to. Shit O-line, bad play calling, and he's still converting on third downs. He was sacked 6 times. Now I understand you're right. He should have lost that fumble. That's on him. But 6 sacks, man. I mean,
I get it. Yeah, I mean, the offensive line did not help him at all. But that just helps your argument, right? Like the dude is getting hit 11 hurries, 8 times he was hit, and 6 sacks. So they were back there almost all game. And the dude, what was the stats? BT, I don't have them from me. 320 something yards.
And 384 yards.
384 yards and 2 touchdowns. You can say it's garbage time, whatever you want. That's still under press. Garbage time or not, the defense is still coming at him.
Yeah.
He's still under poise, threw the ball, and all offseason, Texans fans there. Ohio State quarterbacks can't handle pressure. As soon as you blitz, he's going to crumble. He's not crumbling.
No.
So that's one positive you got to look at.
And then the last, I guess, last question, because I know that Matt, I know that you can't stay on too much longer, but do you guys know? All right, so we ran 32% and we passed 68%. Off the top of your head, do you know what quarterback that looks like? How much, like when we say someone that passes that much, what team does that remind you of?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs run more than that. Fucking Tom Brady, when we was there with Tampa Bay was passing around almost 70% of the time. They're literally using him like they use Tom Brady in terms of passing because he's that damn accurate. Right. So I will say this: if anyone is concerned about the quarterback that we got, you have no idea what you're talking about, and that's cool. Hey, we're here to educate you. We're here to give you some information, but you got to understand, man, this quarterback that we got is legit. The fact that he doesn't have a win to his name, it ain't on him. This week, it was definitely on the defense. Yeah. If Slowick was better, the offense maybe should have been able to beat that, honestly. If we didn't have penalties, we could have been able to get there.
I think you're right. I mean, it goes on the deep. Look, if Laremy Tunsil's in the game, it changes the whole. It changes the outcome, right? Like we're either a lot closer. We're either losing by 3 points, or we win by 3 points because 3 out of those 6 sacks was Josh Jones. 2 out of our 3 penalties. One that was a touchdown that got called back, Josh Jones. Who did Josh Jones come in for?
Laremy Tunsil.
2 tackles per loss came off the left side of Josh Jones. That is what Laremy Tunsil in. It changes the game. I think that's why the run game doesn't get started because and that, also I forgot to say that sack that he let up the fumble. Guess who that's off of? Josh Jones.
Yeah.
So I hate sounding like a Titans fan, but if Laremy Tunsil wasn't hurt, different ball game.
We very well, even with the defense as shitty as it was, we could have probably won this game with Tunsil.
Right. Well, and like you said, Shane Steichen outcoached D'Amico. He knew we were going to run the ball, and if we couldn't, we're going to pass. So they stopped the run. That's what they did, and they forced CJ to throw it, which CJ threw it. But again, when you're down 14-0 in the first 8 minutes, it's the momentum is hard to get back, which we almost did with no run game and no defense. So just give it time. It will ease out. Hopefully the injuries will go away and not get worse. Come week 4 or 5 is when you can really judge this team. That's when you can say, okay.
I'm going to say week 7.
After the bye week.
Yeah. Week 7 is, first of all, if you just look at the teams that we played too, like the Falcons, they're not the joke of a team that we thought they were. They're fucking strong. They're putting up crazy numbers on offense. So the Falcons aren't the team that we could be. We're not beating the Saints. We're not beating the Steelers. So
it depends on tonight's game. If Kenny Pickett comes back from what he played against the Browns, maybe. But if he plays like he did against the Browns,
we won't have our line by then.
I think we'll have a couple of pieces back. We'll have Laremy Tunsil.
We'll probably have Laremy Tunsil, but you won't have Scruggs back, and you won't have Titus Howard back. You won't have if you don't have your center and you don't have your right tackle, that's huge. Not to mention anyone else on IR. So you're not getting. I think fans have to be prepared that we're going to basically, and they can't go after D'Amico. They can't go after CJ because at this point, dudes are injured. You really can't.
I still think we beat the Saints. I'm not very impressed with the Saints. You might be right about the whole Derek Carr. I know I was a big Derek Carr backer and supporter, but you might be right. And I think we can beat the Saints. So
if we get another left tackle that can be at least a Charlie Heck, probably. But with Josh Jones,
well, the Saints will have the whole offensive line back.
What week is the Saints game?
Week 5.
5th ward.
Yeah. All right. So we might have that line back. Yeah, right. Yeah. That is a week that they come back.
And if we stay healthy on defense, I mean, there's a chance we can win that game. There's always a chance. I mean, look, yes, there's a lot of negatives, but there is some positives to build on.
Right,
And
right.
I've been saying this ever since D'Amico's been here. Every day you got to get 1% better, and that's what we're
Sure.
doing.
You're right. You're right. I should have said
Now we
that.
just got to put it all together. And I'm right, Crenshaw.
Yeah, you're right, because now we've seen this before twice. We started off 0-3 and won 11 and won 10 games. I get that's a different team. Anything's possible. Horseshoe Mob, the Colts, they started off 1-6 or 2-7, something crazy. Made the playoffs, beat
And
our
beat
ass
us.
in the first round. So
Yeah.
anything could happen. We like I say, we don't know this team yet. CJ on pace for 4,800 yards as a rookie. That's damn good. So we got a lot of positives, man. Let's just keep it going. I know this whole week is going to be a lot of bitching and complaining in the chats and everything, but let's just stay positive. On to week 3 against the Jaguars, another divisional game. I think we could beat them, but we'll talk about that on Wednesday. So let's end it right there.
All right.
There you
sounds
go.
good to
So
me.
there you go, Chris. Also, tell us where you can find you at.
Y'all can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere. I'm out here.
Where supporting the cause, supporting the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. VT, what about you? What you got?
You can find me at Brown Chubby Bear on Twitter, on Threads, on Facebook, everywhere. And I'm probably going to be on a space tonight talking about the Texans after Sunday Night Football. So if you want to talk more Texans, jump on a space with me. Probably be on right after the game.
And you can find me at A1 Day 1 Texans. I just wrote an article on fanbattlesports.com talking about the recap, a tough pill to swallow. So make sure you check that out. And you can find Texans Fan Battle, like Crenshaw said, Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock. We have the great Lance Zerline coming on. So make sure you come out and check us, because you know you're going to have a lot to say, especially about the offensive line. So be there at 8 o'clock. Until then, guys, we'll see you then. Have a good night. Enjoy some football.
Peace.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want